Hello YouTube and welcome back to a new 50min market update. I'm Stefan, a full-time day trader and co-founder of 50min. Today we have a specific market update for you because last week we had a live call with our community and now we are sharing this with you here on YouTube. We talked about the current market environment and what I expect next for the coming week at BTC, if we can find a bottom and what could happen if we enter into a bear market. Now let's jump into the charts and let's see what I expect.
Yeah, the last days was really interesting, and we saw from BTC a huge dump. First of all, why did we saw such huge momentum shifts in the general markets? Um, I will explain you this here again. So first of all, this real sharp sell-off below the 90K area was because the Nvidia data. I mean, this one here is the Nvidia earnings. We can see this spike here upwards. Nvidia made about, I made about 5% of profits. And after we saw the earnings, we got sell-off again because market participants and also big funds took profits on Nvidia because the fear of an AI bubble was still very high in the last few weeks. And in general, with the liquidity stress in the backgrounds from the banks, funds push the profits out of the markets and taking profits. And as you can see here, I mean, a 1 hour later of New York Open, we saw that these gains from Nvidia are already gone again. And after this one, we dropped also below the $180 level high range, which was a really important support for Nvidia, which also held during the tariff war 2.0. So it was really important level. And after this one, we lose it also. We dropped even further. This pushed also the SPX, as we can see here. This was yesterday. Here was the profit taking, pushed us below the $6,710 level. So as already said, the CTA algorithm level, which is very important for the market, which is in this area. And after we lost this, algorithm sold again huge billions of dollars, which pushed the SPX even further down. And yeah, this also has seen in Nvidia. And here on the bottom is Bitcoin. We can see Bitcoin alone, only from yesterday's drop, did minus 10%, which is a huge amount of loss in 1 day for BTC. I mean, now it's 2 days, but it's still a huge amount. And it's really interesting because the sell-off here was primarily more on the stock market driven. We saw here a bottom formation, from today after the New York Open, and this was also primarily because Nvidia pumped the markets. I mean, if we compare now the SPX 500 with it, it will not looking any different. We'll pick in here. And as we can see here, also the SPX found the bottom before going higher. So overall, the market is now in a really important mode. We are going for long liquidations, but also we are still more in general, from the stock markets driven. And this is not the best sign, to be honest, because when we're going here in the higher time frame from the SPX, if we compare BTC with this chart, it's really ugly, to be honest, because the SPX is down from the all-time high 6%. And if we're going now to BTC from the 126K, we dropped again over 36%. Ethereum looks even more terrible. So the region where we are now in is really important. So what is now bullish at BTC? Bullish is now that we are having a big order book depth. So this means the 25% order book depth is the biggest order book depth in the market. So 25% above and below the prices, how many bits compared to asks in the delta aggregation is showed here up. So if the order book is more bullish, that means that market makers are placing huge bits below us where the price is also nearby. I mean, we can check it here out. In this bottom region, the green bikes here are all bits, which could show also in the general 25% order book depth. So compared to the asks, we're seeing here more bids. So market makers are trying, so in general, market participants are trying to create here another bottom because maybe they want to see that we are generating here another double bottom, or in general because this is the tariff support, this must hold. I mean, it really must hold, because when we're when we are in general going into higher time frame charts in the 3 day, we can see that we're still now in the bullish structure. So higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and now we would create another higher high. But if we are dropping below this important 75% resistance support point, we would create a lower low. So we would destroy the higher time frame bullish chart. So this is what market participants and a general market maker want to save with those bids there. This is for BTC overall bullish at the moment. We're seeing spot activity and market makers want to hold this one. What is bearish to see is, as already said, let's begin with another bullish sign. If we're going here now, this is what I meant for here before. From every we saw three big correction with this one, and from the last few corrections we saw from this one here, drop from 33%, from this one 32%, and we are now in the biggest one with a drop over 35%. So if we are losing this support, this will be a bigger correction because we're losing the general higher time frame bullish structure. This would be the biggest correction, so we would not have a minus 30% drop before going high again. It would lead to more bearish pressure, and yeah, it would destroy the bullish picture. And this is what market makers are trying to yeah, to save at the moment. And this what is not really bearish for BTC is the coupling with the stock market. As you can see here now, SPX is down 6% and BTC is only down BTC is down 37%. So compared with the stock market, BTC has fallen a significant amount. And I shared this yesterday in the market insights. I will just I will open it here so you can see this also. Um, mm, mm, mm. So here I described already yesterday that BTC diverges further from SPX movement possible scenarios in my opinion. And we can see here again the BTC compared with the SPX. So we're going hand in hand through the tariff crash, but we are seeing now such a huge underperformance from BTC there. There is something bigger behind it. And the scenario one is BTC is being manipulated by market makers because we failed 120k resistance, and in general, we had a really bad underperformance against other assets. I mean, silver, gold, palladium, all metals are performed better than BTC. Then most of the stocks perform better than BTC. Why should a retail investor, when they are in stocks and gaining everyday profits, turning their money into BTC while this one is dropping and can't reclaim the 120k resistance? This is the first point. And so for me, maybe market makers are triggering as much as possible long liquidations before we are going up again. And the possible scenario two is the one that we should be scared, because sometimes when BTC had a front running from the stock market, I mean here we can see it, BTC crashed before the SPX did it. So 3 to 5 days after the BTC front runs, the SPX is following it. But this is what we're now not seeing. So it's also possible that the BTC is front running a huge crash at the stock markets because of the liquidity problem, because of the general global risks, because of the we have so many, also with the AI bubble. So we have so many reasons why the SPX could follow this one. And there is my question: why should BTC now outperform the stock market? This makes for me not really sense, because retail investors, as already said a few minutes ago, invested into stock markets, into stocks, because they performed better as BTC. Why should they now put their money out of stocks and push it into volatile cryptocurrencies, where we saw again today? I mean, today we saw another liquidation event. Why should retail investors push their money into it? So if the stock market sees a general crash, for me, BTC also nuking below the 75 5k support region and entering again a general bearish correction. So overall, the situation where we are in at the moment is really, really, really important. Um, also with the altcoins at the moment, we're not holding 50% wick fill area, and this is also not really a bullish sign. I mean, we can see here already, yeah, it's a dead cat bounce, to be honest. I want to see at least a bounce into this region again before we are going lower. Um, this is also not really a bullish sign because we still have the 100% wick fill open, and above all, yeah, altcoins are still not the best investment idea today, to be honest. Um, and what is also very interesting to notice, many from you are seeing for sure that the BTC dominance is falling, and 100%. I mean, I'm also seeing it at X. Many influencers and many gurus are pushing now tweets out of them. Yeah, the BTC dominance is falling. This is good for the market. This. This is absolutely one of the bearish signs that we are now seeing also, because the USDT and USDC stable dominance is pushing like there is not more. I will now share it to you directly. We can see here that we broke even above the high time frame resistance at the USDT dominance. We are creating more highs than in July 2024. So overall, this means we're seeing a falling Bitcoin dominance. We're seeing a falling Ethereum dominance. Nearly every altcoin is falling on dominance, and that means that market participants are flowing out of the coins. So they're selling them to gain more USDT. So they're selling them to hold more USDT. So the market participants are selling their coins to remain sidelined. So they're waiting for clear triggers. Maybe it's a bottom building, or that we're losing the 75k, so more shorts can enter the markets. So overall, this is not really a bullish sign that we are losing on momentum from the Bitcoin dominance. This means that also the Bitcoin market participants are giving up on their Bitcoin holdings and switching into stables and waiting for clear moves. So overall, this is not really a bullish sign. To make it clear again, what could happen if the general BTC finds a bottom? We have also here again two possible scenarios. So if BTC now really finds in the 75 to 80k region a bottom, I can really imagine that the USDC dominance is dropping into higher time frame region again. And I really hope that we don't see a huge money flew into altcoins again. I hope to see more Bitcoin stables again, and after this one, we see a general risk on mode again. So first Bitcoin is moving, then Ethereum, and then the altcoins. This would be more sustainable for the markets and would be really important to gain more really sustainable bullish momentum over the next few weeks. Because if we see the drop from the USDT dominance into the high time frame resistance, and during this drop, altcoins are pushing and BTC is creating a bottom, we will face another liquidation event because altcoins can't perform while BTC is in such underperformance in the bearish mode. That's really, 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 really important to understand. We might see like today TSNR where we saw a 600 pump in 2 days, but we can see already today I shorted it. I mean, I'm now in profit of over 50% or something because these moves will get reversed. Market makers pushing their capital into that. So in general, more retail investors are saying, "Oh, these altcoins are pumping. I need to push more money to altcoins." Yeah, and then something like this earlier today happened. We face another liquidation event. So if we see a bottom from BTC, I hope we are seeing another drop from the USDT dominance. But I hope this money will flow into Bitcoin and not into altcoins. If it's into altcoins, I'm not longing any altcoins because it would lead only to another liquidation event at those coins. This is really, really important. What is also interesting to go into it, I think it's Ethereum. Yes. I think I had drawn into, I think it's perpetuals. Okay, no, it's not perpetuals, but nevertheless, this was this from my trade idea. Also here, Ethereum lost the 3K region. Yeah, it's also not a really bullish sign to be honest. As already said, I want to see that the total free is going hand in hand uh, with Ethereum, and as we can see here, man, the 50% wick fill area was in the 817. So this was around here. Yeah, I mean, we saw it also going hand in hand. So this is also, yeah, also for Ethereum, as I already said, the big liquidation cluster. I mean, you can also share it here to you. The big long liquidation cluster in the $2,200 region is still a huge imbalance for Ethereum. And yeah, for me, it's still possible that we are nuking in this region before we are going high again. But also here, I won't look really much on Ethereum. Only when BTC finds a bottom, I will enter also in the Ethereum. Again, this was the reason why I canceled my Ethereum limit orders a few weeks ago, because I knew, okay, if BTC drops further, why should Ethereum outperform? This makes no sense. And as we can see here now, this is exactly what we saw. I mean, Ethereum is compared with BTC from the all-time high was around 5K, is around 47% down. So that's even 70% more than at BTC. And this underperformance won't get better when Ethereum is below the 3K region. It's important to note. And yeah, here's the huge liquidation cluster in the 2000, yeah, in the 2.2K area, directly below this, yeah, this low from last week. I might not wrong, but I think in this area, many, I think in this area, Bitmine and SharpLink bought the huge amounts of their Ethereum holdings. So I can well imagine that these long liquidations are because of retail investors are went into the markets and thought, okay, we're seeing now Ethereum treasury companies. This must go up to the all-time high. I mean, they were right, but I think they didn't close really much their positions because still have the huge long liquidation cluster there. And as long as Ethereum is below the 3K region, yeah, it's not really bullish. For me, I would be interested in Ethereum if we are taking it now in a range. The 1.8 cluster would be interesting, so the 1.8K region. Um, so after we're seeing the drop into this, let's see, here's the long liquidation cluster that we're seeing here, liquidating the longs and touching this breakout here again before going higher. This would one interesting trigger for me, or when we are back above the 3K region. So in this sideways range, like we are now again, we could see really random moves from Ethereum and also for the altcoins. Um, Important would be now that we are holding maybe this region, the 2.7K, and we are going for the long liquidation cluster in the next bear market. But for this, we need to watch for BTC, how it is developing, if we are really creating a bottom there or not. This is now the important point. So yeah, I mean, we can also look at the general Bitcoin cumulative return recession. I mean, you well saw it in the last few weeks. The London and the New York session was one of the bearish weeks that I saw. I mean, we are now minus 20% during the New York session and the London session. I mean, Asia was trying to hold the horse in plus, but also today we saw a significant down move. So now every session is nearly bearish for BTC, and this is also one trend what need to change, that we are now gaining more bullish momentum. Yeah, I mean, overall, what's now my plan for BTC? Because I'm now also holding an amount from BTC. I can also share it here to you again. My BTC is now in minus with 12%. So for me, it's not that big deal because we are shorting the altcoins since weeks now. So if we're going lower, I will buy on the key zones again. What are the key zones? So for me, the 70.5K would be definitely another re-entry for me if we can see it. And also yeah, in the general 80 to 75K region, I want to see a bullish reaction. And so I may place today again some limit orders in this region. If I'm doing this, I will let you know later. Um, so overall, I still expect here that we are holding the structure because, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin don't looks like now we are entering a bear market only when the stock market is crashing also, but we have solid Nvidia data. I mean, yes, the AI bubble fears are really high, but this was the last few months the same. And so we might see a quarter four rally, so maybe gaining here one, and yeah, we may see not overcame of the 120K resistance, but maybe again into the 110 to 112K region. So this would be the next very important sell target for me if we're seeing the bounce. And after this one, I would see some, okay, is the bullish momentum coming back? How is the stock market doing? How is the Trump thing doing? And so For me, I still expect a bounce here, so I won't close this trade. And that's also the very important point here. I bought with spot, so I don't care, to be honest, if we're going lower or higher again. BTC is still one of my biggest investments because BTC will rise over the next few years. But if we are below the 75K, I will also cut this one because we will definitely see lower targets. But as already said, I want to buy in this area again to get another average, a better average entry price. So if I sell in loss, it's less from my entry price away. And if we're gaining more bullish momentum, I will gain more because I got a better entry price. I also, the only altcoin that I'm long right now is Solana. So for here, the last 25% from my Solana position are still set on the limit order. To be honest, because Solana is one of the, yeah, on one of the interesting altcoins for me. I mean, even XRP dropped below the $2 region, which is not really bullish sign. And Solana is still holding the $120 level. I think this is also because we're seeing such huge ETF inflows from Solana compared to the other assets. I mean, XRP is also following it since the ETFs are here, but this could be only because of the start from the hype and everything. So, but Solana still have since 2 weeks or something very good inflows, and this is also showing in the general chart that we're still holding the $120 level. Only I will only cut this position once we are holding sustainable below the $120 region. So if we're dropping below and can't reclaim it, we will definitely go lower. This would be a reason for me to cut this position. How it would like at altcoins, as I already said in the last few days and weeks and months, I won't buy any altcoins until BTC don't find a bottom. This is really, really, really important. And I think you understand this even better now, that this won't make really sense why altcoins should outperform now BTC while BTC is facing the biggest correction since the bear market. So for me, such entry snipes at some altcoins are not my trading style. If BTC finds a bottom, so let's go into the chart here again. So if BTC finds, let's make an example. We're making here such a bottom building. I would definitely wait. I mean, this one here is exactly a really interesting structure. We saw here that we are gaining a bottom. We saw 3 weeks down, so the support was really strong. And yeah, after this one here, a clear break of structure would be in the 92K area, so in the 90 to 92K area. So such like this, I want to long altcoins. I want to see a clear break of structure and going higher again. As long as we don't see this, it makes no sense for me to buying altcoins because, yeah, as already described, UCC dominance because of the stablecoin dominance. As long BTC don't find a bottom, these moves will be reversed again. How would it look like for if Bitcoin at the moment? Where would such a break of structure would happen? I draw it here. Yes. So first of all, we can't reclaim any support point. We saw here a support break, then here again we can't reclaim it. Here the same, we can't reclaim it. Now it's also the same. So we are clear now, still in the bearish structure. So to make it clear first, the first break of structure, which would be very important for BTC, would be to overcome the 86.6K region. So this would be here that we overcame this one. And after this one, it would be important, okay, it's just a short squeeze or not. If it's just a short squeeze, it's still possible that we are not overcoming the next very important, the 88 to 90K region. So we're going lower again. A first really clear bullish trigger would be that we are again above the 88 to 90K area, because the zone is very important, because we also saw this sideways last year with the 90K to 110K sideways range. This is very important levels still. So the 90K would be for me a clear trigger that we are seeing more bullish momentum. So more bullish momentum could come. Now let's also take a closer look now at the general liquidation heat map. We can see the longs got completely destroyed. I mean, as already said in the last market update, I didn't expect that we were pumping into the 89K area. So let's go into this one. We liquidated last week this cluster here, and I think here the last weekend update. It was the 14th. So it had not really much sense. So why should market makers pushing the price higher before going low again? So market, I mean, market participants are in general long the shit already, because we see that every time when we bounce, the bikes are getting tighter and tighter. So more market participants with high leverage uh, went into the markets, and so this was the clear trigger that market makers going for long liquidations. And yeah, this was the last few days also, because dump money still buys with high leverage. But for now, it still looks very clear. I mean, the last cluster in the 82K area got hit. So overall, yeah, the problem is now that we are also building here some liquidity in the 75K area, because we have people such Hoss or other crypto influencers who pushing many retail investors into the markets with a high leverage. So I mean, the 76K is now even higher than the 87. So, and we saw this, it's really, we saw this one at this timeline. This is gaining more volume, and this one is gaining more volume up this timeline. So this bounce during the New York Open was the reason why this one is getting more attractive than this above us. And also we can see here again that we are gaining more long liquidations below us. So yeah, if the market makers are going for long liquidations again, we will definitely going into the 75K region also. So I mean, also this one, dump money is keeping buying like there is no tomorrow. Another long liquidation cluster in the 82K, nearly as big as the 87 long liquidation. So yeah, a current bottom, it's really hard to predict the current bottom, because in general market makers are long liquidations. And then I have a very good example for this one. Let's jump in the chart to this 126K. So we can see here um, that the market is pushing higher and higher and higher and higher. I mean, for one time it's get exhausted, and this is what I also expect for the Bitcoin bottom, but we're still gained higher and higher. So market makers not trying to push it to the 120K. So that I will draw it in where the 120K is. The 120K was this resistance here. And market makers don't hold at the 120K, so they make a very different picture for retail investors. They pushed it above only to liquidate more shorts. And then we gained around top and dropped with a liquidation event, because market participants thought this would be the next leg up. And I can well imagine that we are also may seeing this here one, because we are dropping further and further, as you can see here, only to liquidate the longs, and then dump money keeps buying. This was back then with the shorts. So we can may see some here, and after this one we are creating a round bottom with a short squeeze above. This is also possible, because we are seeing really the same scenario. Here we saw a significant amount of asks. Here we're seeing a significant amount of bids. We are dropping below the key zones. But we pumped above the current key zones. So it's also possible that we're creating here only being below these regions to liquidate more longs, until they're getting greedy and saying, oh no, now the bear market is coming. And now they're switching. The switch, I think maybe it's really the switch that retail investors going from long into shorts before market maker driving the price up again. Maybe as I'm explained here, because here the market turned from short into long again, and after this one we saw a liquidation week. So this is also possible. So it's very, very important now that not going blindly into the markets, because we have so many possible scenarios. It's really at the moment it's really hard to predict how BTC is moving, and when is the bottom in, and when we see higher prices. So for me also, I'm still waiting for clear triggers, clear break of structure, and until then, I'm still only shorting the altcoins. That's still my plan since weeks now, and yeah, that's my current plan. I know it's really, really, really terrible at the moment. It's one of the hardest events that I'm seeing since months now, because we are really now in the momentum where we could turn into a bear market, or we're seeing the next leg up. And in general, retail investors or not even retail investors. I mean, in general, investors that are not long into the crypto space are now feeling the first time that a general beer sentiment is coming into the market. So this is the first time when the only up market with yeah buy now and in 3 months is higher. This is the first time where this sentence is not working. We may see that if we are buying now in 3 months, that is yeah that is in 3 months um, a huge loss there. So this is really important to wait for clear triggers before going into the markets. Crypto market is still the volatile market in the general space. I mean, sometimes even meme stocks are not as volatile as BTC is. So, and yeah, you can make a huge amount of money in crypto.
That's it for today's market update. If you liked these kind of new videos, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss further updates and live streams in the coming weeks. I'm hyped for the coming week and we will keep you updated here. See you next week.